All right, everyone, we just saw the finished composition we did here. We're working with darks. I'm Chris Petrie. I just want to thank you for coming by. We're going to learn some new interesting things with watercolor. This is just a fun way to take a quick little 15-20 minutes of time, and we'll focus in on darks and painting darks in your paintings. How can you change them around, make them look a little better? Let's try it out. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take some swatches here. We're going to make a nice few swatches here. So I'm going to take some square shapes and just put them onto the paper. Rectangular shapes, square shapes, whatever you want to do. Have some fun with this. Just draw some squares and rectangles. That's all you have to worry about is those two shapes, squares and rectangles. Like that. That's it. So we draw some squares, some rectangles, and we're going to make these all darks. Some dark tonal values. And we're going to try to modulate these and change these as we go, but keep them dark all the way through. And this is really important if you're doing some beautiful darks in your painting and you have a variation of shapes or subject matter. Let's say you're looking at buildings in a scene where there's a lot of darks. Let's say it might be a nocturne scene, a night scene, or maybe it's a sunrise or sunset scene where there's a lot of darks, and maybe you're creating some buildings and you want the buildings all to look dark because there's not much light, the sun is setting or the sun is rising where there's not a lot of light, but you need to get those changes in your darks to make it look interesting. You wouldn't want to just paint everything one color, right? Does that make sense? You wouldn't want to just mix one color, one dark, and say, okay, let's just do all the darks all the way through. That would look very boring, very uninteresting, would look unpleasant. So as an artist, we have to come up with ideas and say, how are we going to change our darks to make them look really good, but yet keep them dark at the same time? And we're going to do that right now. So let's start out. We're going to take I'm going to use just a square brush this time here. Let me see if I can find my square brush. We'll use a square brush this time. Change up a little bit. Okay, I'm just going to use a small square brush. It's a half-inch square brush, like so. And you can see I drew out these rectangles and squares across here, and this is what we're going to do. And we're just going to start out with some fresh, clean water, and we'll start out with some darks. Let's start out with some French ultramarine blue, burnt umber, burnt sienna. Those three colors, burnt umber, burnt sienna, French ultramarine blue. Let's get those darks in there. Look at that. Wow, beautiful. Look at that. This is Arches satin paper, so it's not really rough paper. It's the smooth. You can use any watercolor paper. It doesn't matter. We're just doing an exercise here. Maybe later on you'll explore different papers and see which one you like the best when you paint your watercolors. You might like a different paper for seascapes, and then you might want a different one for landscapes. It changes for every artist. You're the artist, you decide. But here the main idea is we want to kind of start looking at the darks and say, okay, great, we got a dark on our paper here. How can we change it just a little bit? Well, let's go with just a touch, just add a touch of green. We added a touch of sap green to it. Let's see how that looks. Wow, look at that. Still a gorgeous dark. That's a dark wash there. That's a dark tonal value. Yet we changed it enough that it looks different and looks exciting. Beautiful, look at that. Now, let's say, all right, let's go with a warmer feel. Using the same mixture, leaving that in the palette, and I'm just picking up a little bit of yellow ochre. And I guarantee it's going to be dark, maybe a little more French ultramarine blue just to keep it dark. But with that yellow ochre, that's going to look good. Maybe a little more yellow ochre. Wow, that's another gorgeous dark, and it is different. Look at that. Can you see that? It definitely changes in color quite a bit. But yet it's dark. If you squint your eyes when you're looking at this painting, as we're going here and we're doing this exercise, if you squint your eyes and you're looking at this scene, this picture here as we're going, this painting, you'll see that if you squint your eyes, they're all dark darks. Yet if you open your eyes and you're looking at it as if someone was looking at your painting, you're going to see that the colors are changing. That's looking really nice. You're getting some variation in colors, but they're all dark still. So we just keep sticking with the idea of we want to keep it dark, but we're just changing the colors, changing those tonal values and modulating that color. All right, we're going to go in dark. We want to keep it dark, so we go back in. We're using the same French ultramarine blue, burnt umber, burnt sienna, French ultramarine blue. We want to keep it dark, but yet we want to go warmer. Let's go with some alizarin crimson. Add in some red into that. Add a good deal of red into that, and look at that. You get a beautiful red. Let me just add a touch of water. Just a little bit of damp brush in there, just with a little bit of water. So we have a little more water in there. And look at that. Beautiful. How awesome is that? Look at that. Another dark wash. And look at that. It's night. It's really beautiful. It's dark. It's a warmer dark. It's got more red in it. We added the alizarin crimson to that same base colors that we were working with. So we're kind of working with these three base colors: French ultramarine blue, burnt sienna, burnt umber. Then you add in maybe a decent amount of red, and you get a more of like a violet color here. A little bit of a reddish color, reddish purple. And then we look and we say, what can we do next? We have another cool, greenish, cool dark. Then we warm it up with some yellow ochre. We get more of an olivey color, a dark olive green. Then another dark red here. This is kind of like a rose red. And then what are we gonna, let's do one more cool. We did two warms here, two cools. We'll end up with a cool. And let's go with let's add some black. Let's add some Payne's gray to that red that we already mixed, and that should be fine. And wow, look at that. It kind of looks similar to this one here. How can we change it a little more? Let's add some green. Like a cool green, really dark cool green. Look at that. Wow, looks great. Okay, so that there is modulating your darks so that you're keeping it dark. If you squint your eyes right now, if you squint your eyes and you look at this, you'll see it's all dark. This whole group of swatches are all dark when you squint your eyes. And you can't even tell. It looks like all the same color when you squint your eyes. But then when you open your eyes, you'll notice that the colors do change as they go through here. So that's something where when someone's viewing your paintings, they're going to go, oh, wow, look at all those beautiful colors within that darker area of the painting. Maybe some buildings, some mountains, some flowers, whatever it is. And look at that, how gorgeous that looks. Perfect. Let's do one more. Before we do one more, let's take a break. And I always say, if you can, please subscribe. Right down here on the bottom of the screen, there's a red button, subscribe button. And I'm hoping you're going to subscribe. I'm thinking that you will subscribe. This way, each week we go forward here, you're going to be alerted that our new videos are out, and you can watch them. You can join along with us. Grab your brushes, your paints, your brushes, your paper. You'll paint along with us. You'll start creating your paintings. start working along, getting started. If you're new here especially, you want to just start out any old place and just start working little sections, doing little things, trying it out. If you've been around a while and been doing watercolor for a while, you know we do everything watercolor here, so that this is a great place just to come. You're going to see the same techniques over and over, but we're changing things all the time. We're doing exercises, we're doing seascapes, landscapes, we're doing flower paintings, figure paintings. We do everything here watercolor. So whenever you come along here and you join us and paint along or just even watch, you're going to be learning a lot of information that's going to help you as an artist. And that's why I'm here. I want to help you to make your paintings look better. You'll feel better about your watercolors. You'll get more excited. You'll want to pick up your pencils and brushes and your paper and continue working and getting better and better. If you're not getting results, you're probably just going to give up on it. And I would do the same thing too. If I wasn't getting any results, I tend to not want to do it. I would not want to do it either. So if you stick with us here, keep coming back week after week, hit that subscribe button, chances are you're going to stick with it and you'll keep painting. And then after a short while, you're going to get better and you're going to see the improvements and you're going to want to keep painting. And that's all it's about. Let's keep painting together, having fun, staying excited about watercolors. All right. So let's paint with passion, paint with excitement. We'll keep going, we'll keep learning, and we'll get better and better every week, every month, and every year, year after year, you're going to get better and better. All right, so let's come back in just a second and we'll start another bit of swatches here. We're going to do some more darks, and we're going to, again, just really nail home the idea of modulating your darks is going to really make them look beautiful in your paintings versus just using one color. And then it doesn't look so pleasant and good, and you're not going to be so happy. So let's be happy with our paintings. Okay, we'll be right back. All right, we're getting back started again here. And let's continue. We're doing darks, modulating darks. And you can see here we worked with basically our base color of darks, which would be French ultramarine blue, burnt umber, burnt sienna. And then we started adding in some other colors to change our base dark color that we usually mix. So a lot of times when we're mixing a dark, we say, let's add lots of French ultramarine blue, and then we add a good amount of burnt umber and some burnt sienna, and that gives us a really nice dark using, mostly, let's say 2/3 French ultramarine blue, and then the other third a mix of these two, burnt umber and burnt sienna. Now, when you're doing your darks, you can change up your game plan a little bit and say, you know what, I can create a lot of different looks of darks with just by changing my base dark. You stick with the same, and then you just add in a major color of something else that you want to sort of give your dark that emphasis of another color. So this one here, we added a little more, we added some Payne's Gray. So we got kind of a Payne's Gray mix in here with our first 3 dark colors that we mix up. Then we added some sap green to our 3 base colors, plus sap green gave us this green. Then we added some raw umber to our 3 base colors here and got more of an olivey green. And if you leave some of the colors in your palette as you're mixing, that's fine. It's not really going to make too much of a difference. So you can tell that we didn't clean our palette every time we mixed a new color. We just left what was in there and just kept working with those other colors. And that does work to your advantage, because if you're leaving what you have left in your palette, does this make sense? If you leave what's left in your palette, that's going to carry over to the next color and the next color, and it'll kind of make things blend more together nicely. It'll have a harmony to it because you're using the same colors as you're mixing through all of these. So you don't have to really be concentrating on that too much. I'm not saying you should. Does that make sense? But just where you don't worry that you have to clean your palette every time. You don't. You just keep using your same 3 colors here to mix your first base portion of your dark, and then you're just adding in different colors. Like I said, Payne's Gray was the first color we added to get us this really dark, kind of charcoaly, black looking, cool black. Then we added our base colors again, and we added a little sap green, and we got this color, which is like a dark green. Then we added to that color a little more raw umber. That gave us an olivey green. Then we went, wow, let's add some raw, alizarin crimson. And then we got a beautiful rose-looking color. Look at that, how beautiful that red is. Dark red. And then we kind of, at the end, got back to our greens a little more. We added some sap green. And I think, added some more Payne's gray as well, too, as well as our base colors. So you can kind of see how we went through this here to get all of our darks, changing, modulating as we go, but yet they're all dark. If you squint your eyes and look at the screen again, if you squint your eyes, you'll see they're all very dark colors, very dark tonal values. And let's start another group here. This one, maybe we'll make a little warmer. These are more cooler. Let's make some warmer looking swatches. So we'll do this. We'll start out with this here. There we go. Squares and rectangles. That's all I did here. Let's start out again. I'm using my 1/2" Blix Studio Synthetic flat brush. Then we're going to start out. We can leave that green in there. That's not going to add any issues. French ultramarine blue, burnt umber, burnt sienna, just to get those colors in there. Now let's go with a really nice bit of alizarin crimson and yellow ochre. There we go. And that should be a nice dark. Wow, that's a beautiful kind of like earthy red. An earthy reddish brown. Very dark. Look at that. Beautiful. Now let's start moving along here. We leave this in here. We leave that in there. That's going to help us. That's going to help us to the next color to tie in with this color, leaving this in here. But we're going to go with a darker. Let's go with alizarin crimson and some raw umber. And then maybe just a touch of blue, a touch of French ultramarine blue I was trying to say there. And look at that. Look at how gorgeous that looks. Beautiful. That's a real rich, dark red, brownish red. Now this could be colors you're using for maybe like a western landscape. Maybe you're trying to create some mountains, a western painting out west, some, you know, the beautiful beautiful mountains that are red colors and golds, reds, browns, rust colors. You have it right here. You're working your more warmer tones, tonal values here. Warmer colors. Let's go with another. Let's see here. Let's even get more red. Let's go with a real fiery red. And let's use a fiery red and fire it in. Cadmium red. Wow, look at that. That's like a barn red, or, you know, or that could be some beautiful western mountains, that beautiful red color that we see in the mountains. Look at that, how beautiful that is. We're modulating colors again. And if you squint and look at this right now as we're creating this, and you squint your eyes, they're all darks. These are all dark colors I'm mixing, but yet we're getting lots of variation here. It looks really good. Well, let's do it. Let's get another. Let's do some more gold. Let's do raw umber. We're just going to add raw umber to this same mix we just had here. And what we're doing is we're kind of working things as we go, leaving the same colors in there. You can even add in some yellow, cadmium yellow. That's not going to hurt anything. It's going to stay dark. Maybe you add in a little blue. Look at that. Wow, gorgeous. Kind of an orangey brown, gold color. But if you squint your eyes again, you're going to see that's a dark. So again, we're doing all darks here, but we're just modulating those colors. And I think we'll do one more. Let's see here. I think we should do maybe something maybe cooler here. Let's do a purple. Let's add some purple in here. I'm going to add a little bit of water, thin it down, so we'll add some purple. This can be a shadowy type color. Purple, French ultramarine blue, burnt umber, kind of mix these all in. Burnt umber, burnt sienna, maybe some alizarin crimson. Wow, look at that. If you need to add a little dark, take some of that color we just mixed here. And mix it onto that one. If you were trying to really not do anything too drastic with your tonal values, you want to keep them all darks going through here. We add a little bit of that color. And again, if you squint your eyes, look at that. Right through this whole passage of swatches, all darks. Yet we got tons of variation in there. Look at that. We got like a light brown. Then we got like a dark brown reddish. Then we got a really dark red, a nice rusty red here. Then we got a nice dark gold color. This is like an orangey yellow with darks in there and some purple we added. And then here we have that beautiful purple, shadowy, dark, shadowy color. If you need shadows in your darks and you want to mix a color, we added the purple into our mix. And then if you want to take it to the next level, after you're done doing this type of an exercise, you just write down the colors that you used underneath each of these swatches. Let's do it now. We could do that. Before we do that, let's take a quick break. I just want to take a quick break, relax a second, and then what we'll do is we'll just get the kind of general idea of the colors we were using as we were going through this. Some of you that might be fanatical, you might be saying, oh, I'm going to go back and make sure all these are correct, and that's good. I want you to do that. If you're really excited about your darks and you want to kind of really make sure your darks are coming along nicely, you can stop the video. As I created this video, you can go through it very slowly, hit the pause button, each mix that we make, and you can kind of write down each of the mixtures of colors. I think I pretty much spoke out loud the colors we were using as we were going. I can pretty much look at these myself. After many years of painting now, I can look at these kind of swatches and I can tell you what colors are in there for the most part. But eventually you'll get to that point where you can just look at any paint on paper and say, or anywhere, basically out in nature, TV, pictures, watercolor paintings. After a while, when you work with your colors and you stick with your same palette that you use every day, all the time, every week, whatever, however much you practice, if you stick, does this make sense? If you stick with your same palette of colors all the time, you'll be able to eventually pick out any color, anytime, anywhere, whether it's out in the nature when you're, looking out at the grass and the trees and the flowers. You'll be able to say, oh yeah, that's a red flower, that's an alizarin crimson color flower, or that's a cadmium red flower, or you'll be able to say that's a cobalt blue sky, or today the sky looks more cerulean blue, very light, or oh, that grass looks like it's sap green, or oh, this is the time of day it is, it's sunset, things look a little bit more warmer and orangey. It might look like a warmer green, like a olive green, certain colors, grass, trees, whatever. So you'll see all that as you go. And it's exciting, it's fun. So keep learning, keep growing. We'll come right back just for the next few minutes. We'll take a break and then we'll come back and I'll just jot down the colors under here, under our swatches. And I want you to do the same thing too. Make one of these for yourself, have it in your studio, have it with you, leave it in a folder, in a drawer, in a tub, in a little container, whatever you want to, organize your paintings, your practice swatches, whatever you're doing. Keep it so you can look back and refer to it, because this way you don't have to keep going back over and over things. You can do this one time, and now you have a template for your darks. So when you're painting your darks and your paintings, you can go, oh yeah, I got the template, it's right over here. You grab it and you go, oh yeah, I mixed this color, I want this one. Or, oh, I want this color in my painting. Well then good, you got the colors right there. You wrote it down, you did our exercise, then you wrote down the colors, now you got it, you keep it in your studio, and there you have it. You don't have to stress over worrying about how you're going to do some beautiful darks in your painting. You got it right here. Okay, we'll be right back. And again, thanks so much for coming by every week with us here. We're having lots of fun. And I'm going to take a quick break, and then we'll start up again, and we'll just finish this up in the next 5 or 10 minutes. Okay, Chris Petrie here. Thanks again. We're just getting back here, and we're going to do some labeling of our swatches. So we kind of just talked about when we did these darks here in our swatches, we were saying that we wanted to modulate our colors with our darks in our paintings. So whenever you're having a painting where you're doing a lot of darks, maybe again you're painting night scenes, or maybe you're going to paint some scenes, some watercolor paintings where you can have lots of darks. Doesn't matter what the subject matter is. The best route, the best course of action is to try to modulate your colors, your darks, change them around as you go through your painting. It looks much more beautiful, much more interesting, much more pleasing and pleasant if you were just to take one dark mixture and just use that one dark mixture throughout your whole painting. That wouldn't be nearly as good looking a painting, exciting a painting. So my idea is I want to share this tidbit of information, and I hope you're going to take this, maybe make a swatch of your own, just like this one here. It's on some satin paper, watercolor paper. You can use any kind of watercolor paper, and you can just basically do this, very simply. You just draw your squares and your rectangles. It doesn't have to be just like this. It can be different, the shapes or whatever. That's fine. You can do circles if you don't like squares. You're the artist. You can always change things. When I'm showing something here on YouTube, I'm always hoping that won't take it as that you have to do it this specific way, exactly the way I'm doing it. I'm just kind of showing you the way I'm doing it, and then you can make variations on your own, change things around a little bit, even the colors, whatever it is. You can change things around a little bit, but the basic idea is the darks. We're using dark washes here, dark tonal values, and we're just mixing them and changing them so that they look different as they go through the succession of these squares and rectangles. That's all. So here, right at the bottom of our painting, we're just going to say our base colors. Base colors equal French ultramarine blue, burnt umber, and burnt sienna. That's our base colors that we use to make our mixes. So whenever we're going to start out and make a wash of these darks, we're going to start out with these three colors: French ultramarine blue, burnt umber, and burnt sienna. And we can say that it's half French ultramarine blue, quarter and quarter, half part, quarter part, approximately. That's our base colors. And then we're just going to add to the base color, let's say, another half part. So we'll keep that in mind here. So let's try that idea. So you have your base colors, that's this. Then you're going to use, for this one, let's say, we'd say base colors plus, we added French ultramarine blue. So then we add plus 1/2 Payne's gray. So what I'm kind of saying there is your first base mixture would be this that we have written down on the bottom: French ultramarine blue, 1/2 part, burnt umber, 1/4 part, burnt sienna, 1/4 part. That equals 1 whole. That's here. Then you take another 1/2, which would be a good amount of your Payne's gray, and you add that into that, and then you come up with this, which is like a nice cool black with plenty of beautiful colors mixed in that darker Payne's gray mix. Then here we're going to use base plus 1/2 sap green. We're just going to stick with, you can go back and watch the video and you're probably going to say, oh, Chris didn't get it right here. That's okay. I'm trying to just do the basics of this. Okay, so, because don't forget, as we mixed all these paints going through this whole composition here, we left what was left in the palette and just left it in there and then kept mixing. So that you have to take into account. But we're not going to be super critical here. We're just going to kind of go with the overall idea. So this one here was base plus 1/2 raw umber. So we added our base colors, and then we added a large bunch of raw umber into that. And I think we also added a 1/4 sap green. We added some sap green to that too. Now, this one here, we left the leftovers in there, fine. That just adds a little more tie-in as we go. This one was base plus, we added 1/2 alizarin crimson. Which looks beautiful. That's like a rose color. That looks really beautiful. So that here is all these colors so far. Now this one here, we added base plus 1/2 sap green, and then 1/2 again of, or 1/4. Let's see if we have something. There we go. We have some white out. Quarter Payne's gray. Perfect. Look at that. Okay, moving right along. We're going to the next one. Now these are more warmer darks. But again, if you squint your eyes when you're looking at this through your TV screen, your cell phone screen, your iPad screen, you're going to see these are pretty dark. This one here was base plus, this one we added 1/4 alizarin crimson, and 1/4 cad red. I believe that's what I used. Okay, then this one here we used base plus, we added 1/4 burnt umber. We added more brown and 1/4 alizarin crimson. Something to that. I think that's what we did here. Okay, this one was base plus cadmium red, quarter cadmium red. Quarter alizarin crimson. Okay, now this one up here. Base plus, we used quarter raw umber, quarter that was yellow ochre. Okay, and then this one over here, base plus, that was quarter burnt umber maybe, and a quarter of ultramarine violet. Okay, and then we're just going to put a box around our base color mix so we don't get confused. Okay, these are approximates. I think I got somewhat close to what we mixed when we were doing the exercise. Might not be 100% accurate. If you want to go back, I'd encourage you, everyone, if you want to go back and actually really keep track of everything and write down the colors even more closely to what we did, that's even better yet. That's fine. The only difficulty that we would have is I did leave a lot of the mixes as we were going in the pan, in the paint box, as we were going, as we mixed to the next and the next and the next swatch. So that's the only thing that can be a little bit, challenging to kind of keep track of that. So that's why I just put down base colors plus the majority of what I'm seeing here. So the base colors plus a lot of Payne's gray, base colors plus a lot, half sap green, another half mixture of sap green. This is more of an olive green. You can look at it as, when you're trying to mix these, maybe just try to mix what you're seeing here. This is kind of like a, like a really dark with, like a dark mixture with Payne's gray mostly sap green, olive color, yellow ochre mixed in there. This is like a dark rose color. This, is the alizarin crimson, obviously, with some yellow ochre, and then the base mix. This is a sap green with some Payne's gray to even darken it up more to make it a really, really dark green. So it's just a matter of you kind of look at your colors as you go and you mix them up and you kind of just try to describe what you're seeing. I'm seeing burnt umber here with some yellow ochre. Maybe I didn't write down exactly. There's a little bit of yellow ochre in this one. This one here, burnt umber, alizarin crimson. That looks pretty close to what I'm seeing there. This, and plus the base colors. So these all have the base colors in them, and then, a little bit of strong additive, which would be the other colors. So I hope this is helpful. Have some fun with this. If you don't want to write down the colors, don't worry about it. Don't get stressed over it. That's the whole thing. Have fun with this. Don't get stressed. If you don't like the idea of writing down your colors and you don't want to get that involved, that detailed, then just forget it. Don't even bother worrying about it. Mix your colors just by eye. Look at the colors by eye and say, oh yeah, this is like a dark green. Okay, how do I make a dark green? Well, I'd go with sap green. Add some blue, some dark blue to it, some Payne's gray. There you go. You've got a dark green. So have fun, do it your own way. Find your own ways to mix your colors to create the washes that you want for your paintings. And, that's the main idea. If it helps to write it down, you write it down. If it doesn't, then you don't do that, obviously. I don't want to add more stress to your watercolor regimen. So I'm glad we had fun though anyway, covering some darks mixtures, modulating your darks in your paintings. And again, it's been really fun doing this here. Again, if you please, I always say, if you feel free, subscribe. There's that red subscribe button down below on the right-hand side. We do videos like this all the time. On this channel, I bring you the best that I can. Lots of information, lots of details on watercolor, tidbits of information. You're the artist. You have to decide, do you want to keep taking in some good information? And as well as obviously we're always creating new paintings every week. So you're getting all different kinds of formats of seascapes, landscapes, flower paintings, figure paintings, cityscapes. We do everything here watercolor, so anytime you're here watching, you're going to be learning the watercolor medium, and that's going to help you to become a better watercolor artist. And I absolutely know without a shadow of a doubt, there's many of you sending in your photos. I'm looking at your finished paintings, and I'm just shaking my head going, wow. So many of you are really doing a great job out there, and I'm really happy for you and really proud of you that you're doing a great job with your watercolors, because I know when I started my watercolors, eventually I'll bring on some of my watercolors that I have in a closet somewhere in a box, that when I first started they looked really rough, and it took me a long time to get better at it, and you guys are doing a great job. So I'm really proud of everybody, and keep painting, happy painting. We'll see you on the next video.